Justin Jones is going to go on IR. He's going to be done for the year. He'll come back better than ever. And brought in signed Naquan Jones to replace him on the roster there. Naquan obviously has been here and feel good about him. And looking forward to a good week here, Washington.
What kind of blow is losing Justin like that?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Lose a good player, yeah.
What did you see on the tape when you were watching back Washington?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, Monday night they played extremely well. How old, Zach?
23.
23.
He was born after 9/11.
The good old days. Wow, I didn't know that. How about that?
I felt it in the back when I woke up.
A lot of respect for Dan Quinn. You can tell the fabric of how he coaches his team plays with that energy and juice, all three phases. They got good players, all three phases. Offense is clicking. They're 2-1 for a reason. Big time test coming in here.
Is it any different preparing for a rookie quarterback because you don't have extensive NFL film on them?
Yeah, a little bit. That's a good question, Donnie. I think that, through the 3 games you can see, kind of his skill set, what they like to do with him, those things. He's obviously a very unique player to game plan against because of his skill set. He's got a unique skill set, but he can throw it all over the place. He can extend plays. He can throw it down the field. Big-time player.
You're trying to go down the field. Obviously, the intention is getting a touchdown, trying to score points. But is there an added level of comfort knowing you have a guy like Matt Prater back there that could get you from distance?
Yeah. He's a really good player for us, a big-time weapon for us. So a lot of times where, I feel good about kicking and gaining points, I'm sure a lot of other coaches don't feel that way. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we have him. Big-time weapon for us.
Back to the injuries. Have you guys gotten an update on John recently?
He's doing well. He's doing well.
He'll be back this year.
We'll see.
When
Hypotheticals, Teo. I don't know.
you look at the Commanders, and you just talked about them a minute ago, what issues do they present to you both offensively and defensively this week?
Defensively, they fly around. They got some big-time athletes, some big-time hitters. And, Joe Witt does a good job. They disguise extremely well. It's hard to know what they're in. You can see them. They obviously put a huge emphasis on the ball. They haven't had a bunch, but you can tell they teach it, they coach it. They're on the details of that because the ball is a winning stat. They got some rushers and some coverage players. Offensively, going against McLaurin all those years, I have a very high opinion of Terry. He can beat you single-handedly, honestly, and he's got a quarterback back there that can dish it. The scheme is hard to defend, especially with the quarterback skill set, what they like to do, because you're +1 in the run game a lot of times. So we just got to be on those details. In the pass game, different concepts that attack coverages, so we got to be on the details.
Are you pleased with the few number of penalties in the first 3 games?
I am, but you can always clean them up, and that's kind of week to week, Howard. You know what I mean? So I don't, am I rah-rahing because we're low? That's good because we're not, that we're not beating ourselves. But am I going to be down in the dumps if it's high one game? Yeah, a little bit. They're teaching moments for us, but every crew calls it different. Every game materializes different. But I know this, like if you play with the proper technique and make the correct decisions over and over and over and over the long haul of a season, you should be pretty good with that. And I feel like our guys understand that and do a good job of it because we put a lot on their plate with decision-making to not foul. But there's a lot of plays that are bang-bang, and if they call it, they call it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm pleased right now. It can always be better. And we got to continue to coach it.
I know it was a funky situation when you first got here because Kyler was hurt,
Mm-hmm.
seriously. But when you come into a situation with a new quarterback, as a coach, do you look at a quarterback with completely fresh eyes, or do you look back at what he did before in terms of figuring out what you're going to want to do with him, what you're going to, how you're going to coach him, any of that stuff? How do you kind of approach that?
A little bit of both. You know what I mean? And then I always say, talk to the players, you'll learn. So obviously a lot of conversations with Kyler, what he's comfortable with, what he likes. That's Drew and is a little bit more than me, but I talk to him about, hey, what's good, what's not, what do you like, this and that. And he has conversations by the minute with Drew and is about those things. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. We knew we wanted to play with a certain scheme, but good coaches, you tailor fit your scheme to the quarterback and the people that you have. And I think Drew's done a good job of it.
Is there a particular emphasis this week that may be different than other weeks?
Yeah, the winning edge is always a little bit different week to week because it's a different team. So that's a little bit different. But how we operate, how we behave for this week moving forward is kind of the same. I expect us to do a good job in meetings. I was in meetings today. They're on it. And good 3-4 days of practice. And we got to put all our energy and focus into trying to win this game.
I mean, obviously every NFL game is physical. That seemed particularly physical on Sunday between the two teams. Do you ever have to adjust your practice based on how a game was, or is your process how you handle the team itself coming out of a game the same no matter what happens?
That's a really good question, Darren. Yeah, you adjust every week by the health of your team, the opponent of your team, where you're at in the season, by the schedule, by everything. Yeah, we look at all of that. But this week, we got some bumps and bruises like everybody does, but we're going to kind of be status quo this week.
I asked Nick the same thing yesterday. When you have a rookie quarterback who only has 3 games of film, is that enough? Do you try and supplement, or is it just is what it is?
What'd he say?
He said he always likes to have more information.
He's a data guy. High C on the disc test. I'm not. I'm an I. So, I'll take 3 games and roll the ball out. But we're a little bit different like that. No, I mean, like, you're not going to, I would say this, you can go down, it can be, you want to turn over every stone, but I do think it can be a negative if you start practicing certain things that you think they're going to do and they never do it, and your guys are worried about it, and they might play slow because of that. So, we got to make sure that we're on the details of how we got to defend this offense and then react to things that could come up. You know what I mean? And that's honestly, it doesn't matter if we were playing them week 16 or week 4. It's kind of the same process with us.
Is Trey still in the protocol?
He is.
And what's your thought on Elijah and the progress he's made and potentially maybe having a little bigger role?
Yeah, I'm completely good with Higgy Bear. He's a good player.
When you see the rash of head injuries around the league, do you ever talk to your players about that stuff? Do you encourage them to wear guardian caps, cue collars, anything like that?
Our players, we educate those guys, kind of before the season starts with that. And then we have other resources in the building for those guys to reach out to and things like that. I know from a playing standpoint, we coach a certain way to try to eliminate those. One, because of their health, right? 2, because of the rules, you know what I mean? So we're trying to coach guys where it keeps them out of harm's way, so to speak. But, football, you guys know, is a combative, violent sport. And unfortunately, those happen. You know what I mean? The one in our game, I walked out there. I know Trey walked off, but Branch was down. Not that I want to talk about their team, but I was concerned for the guy. You know what I mean? Like, I've played DB. I've seen that collision happen, and you have concern for the player laying on the field. You know what I mean? I actually asked Dan, is he okay? Dan was like, yeah. And then Dan, right away, how's your guy? You know what I mean? You don't want to see that as a coach, but you understand that's part of the sport too. And I think the NFL has done a good job of making rules, so you try to eliminate some of those, which that's good for business. You know what I mean? You don't want to see guys get head injuries, man.
During your time in the league as a coach, have you seen that change in terms of how coaching staffs coach guys to avoid head contact?
1,000% because of the rules. So yeah, you are coaching that. You're coached by the rules, and the rules have evolve to try to take the head out of the game, which is good. That's a positive.
I know it's
That's a
early.
good, that's a good question, Teo.
I know it's early in the week. Is there any update on the offensive line and the health of the offensive line?
No, we'll just go throughout the week here and see how it goes.
Do you treat soft tissue injuries any differently early in the season than you do later in the season, like trying to get guys a little
How
more
so?
rest, like trying to just make sure they're completely healed for the long run?
No, we try to, our return to play is consistent with whatever injury it is, and we're trying to get guys back as soon as we can get them back. And everyone, but that's a good question, Josh. You know, just because one guy has a hamstring, another guy has a hamstring, two totally different injuries, you know what I mean? By the guy's age, by how it happened, by history, by, you know, position. There's all kinds of things that go into that. Our performance staff is really, really good. You know, Michael, with the resources that we put into that is huge to me because I think it's an advantage for us. I'm really pleased with that group and what they do.
And will the, my weekly question, in the Tillman jersey? And what did you like about whoever it was, what they
Dre
did?
Pacellia. Yeah, he had a good week last week, obviously.
Phil
He
Jackson.
does a really good job.
Phil Jackson's toe.
Kind of day by day we're taking it.